forced one. What does that tell us, really?
So a couple of things. We didn't change, not because we won the game before. We didn't change because we set the team obviously slightly differently up, and want to give the boys the chance to find some rhythm in that, to get used to it, to get used to different things. That's reasonable. Number one. Number two is, I said the ticket into this team will always be the readiness, or from now on again, the readiness to defend and to counter press. And I liked a lot of that, what I saw. And if you say that, then you have to give the credit for it as well. So you can buy the ticket again if you want. But I have to say that what it created as well, a situation in training where the boys who didn't start showed properly up. So we could have changed quite a lot, because they really knock on the door, which is good. And the main difference is we have time to train. So and if you have time to train, because then all of a sudden everybody can show up. Because if you say training is as important as games, it's true. But in a normal week with 3 games, you have recovery where only parts of the team, but only the guys train who didn't play the day before. The next day is second day recovery for the guys who played, and the other boys do a little bit more. And then you have 1 training day in a long week, and that's not a session where it should be that intense. So a couple of reasons. So, but I liked the big parts of the game, of the games. Not all of it, of course. Especially in Nottingham, I think around the set pieces that looked really not cool. But that's something I said after the game. It's difficult to prepare for that, because nobody can throw in like Niakite, and nobody in our training session will fight for the ball like Nottingham Forest did. I would want to avoid that. Otherwise, you have injuries after a set piece in training. So that's it. That's the reason, pretty much, why we didn't change.
Sure to turn around this weekend. Liverpool have a great home record against Tottenham. I think it's only 1 defeat in the last 28 at Anfield. But what have you made of the goings on at Tottenham in recent times with the change of manager? They certainly showed spirit and character against Manchester United to come from 2 down.
Yeah, look, this is obviously a season where a lot of things were difficult for a lot of teams. We had our problems. Chelsea has their problems. Tottenham has their problems. So it's like, it's not cool for us, but it opens the door for other teams. So all of a sudden it can look different. So Champions League spots are there to grasp for other teams, stuff like this. So that's it. But little mistakes during the season can cause massive problems, can have a big impact. So, and I don't know at all anything about Tottenham in that department, but when you saw last night, the team they have is still absolutely exceptional. So what they could do, why it didn't work out, I have no idea. I will be prepared for the best possible Tottenham side. They were for some years, by some distance, the best counter-attacking team in Europe. So there were moments when you lost the ball. They only had to find Harry Kane, and the next moment Son was in a 1-1 situation with the goalie. So they had no clue how to defend that properly. The best way not to lose the ball. So that's one thing. They have brought in good players, really good players. So I expect them to be really good. And last night I watched the game, of course. And second half they showed just, I think, what everybody in the stadium wanted to see, and could have won the game. Massive chances around that one. So, and that's the team we will prepare for.
I know you said on Wednesday you wanted to finish as us and see the best of your side from now until the end of May. If that's European competition, then great. Is the Europa League one that you'd be more than happy to embrace?
We take what we get. So that's how it is. What do you mean? It's not that we started the season and said if we could qualify for the European League it would be fantastic, but the season taught us a few things. and that's absolutely fine. If it's European League, then it's European League, absolutely fine. So it's how I said, but for what we qualify is not that's not for me so interesting. I want to create a basis that we qualify for the best possible scenario, pretty much. So squeeze everything out. That's what I want. I want to play the best possible football. If we get nothing for that at the end of the season, then we created that situation earlier in this year. But this part of the season we have to use, or we have to be just really focused on the game coming up, and that's in this moment Tottenham. Try to win it, try to play in a convincing way, try to be uncomfortable to play against, all these kind of things, and whatever happens until the end of the season, these last 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks then will be very important as well for the next season.
You mentioned that players coming back there and sessions and more players on the sidelines ready to come back in. How are we looking in terms of new players coming back to the squad now after injuries and what have you?
Ibu will be back. I guess Naby will train today. Didn't get the medical report yet, but probably. Ox is in training. Yeah. Who's so no one else. So we have a couple of players out, but everybody knows about them. But on top of that, from the last game, Diogo got a bad knock in his back, but should be all right. We will see that, how that developed. Apart from that, we should be okay.
And in trying to prepare for a game like this, given everything that had gone on at Spurs and yet another new manager in charge, does that make your job all the more difficult when you're trying to figure out what to prepare for?
Last night I played a similar system, or the system they played now, more or less for a while already. In general, I think the mentality boost, whatever, that's clear that it will come in the second half. Last night helped definitely. This game could have gone either way. They could have lost it in the first half, but they could have won it in the second half. They had the biggest chance, a massive chance before United scored the 2-0. That could have been equalizer. So that's how football on highest level is. So you can always go either way. No, more difficult. Well, how I said, I watched last night, and I think most of the players who will play against us played in that game as well. So that's what we prepare for.
Jürgen, with Tottenham against Newcastle, you've been involved in those high-scoring matches with Liverpool. Because when you watch it happening to, say, another team and the speed in which those goals were scored, does it make you appreciate what you have achieved in those high-scoring games more when you watch it being done to someone else? Can you kind of, because when you're involved in it, you're involved in the moment of it. So when you're watching it from behind the screen, does it make you watch in disbelief, or does it make you watch like, oh wow, or do you think, well, we've done that and how hard it really is?
No idea. Honestly, it's like sometimes I enjoy football. I enjoy watching us from time to time. But I think back and think, oh my God, that's what we did. That doesn't happen really. I'm too much in the moment. Maybe a bit of a shame, to be honest. But I always thought I will have time for these kind of things after my career. So this season, if we don't do something really special, will be remembered for the 7-0 against United. And I hope people, when they speak about it in a few years, they will look back and say, I was here when we got it 7-0, and that they could say something nice on top of that. And after that, we qualified still for whatever. So that would be nice. But if not, then we have to take that as well. But no, I don't. We did what we did, and for a long period of time, it was really good. And even this year, we had some absolutely good moments. But in general, what we lack this year is consistency, and that's what we have to change, and that's what we are working on.
James?
Jürgen, the current run you're on coincided with Curtis Jones being in the team. He's had 5 consecutive starts. It's his longest run of the season so far. So just wonder if you could talk a bit about the impact he's made on the team and what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, that he has now 5 games in a row is obviously great, but it didn't look for a long time during the season that these kind of things would be possible, because we spoke about it. He was really had a freakish injury, but it is anyway. We had to be super careful with him, super careful with him. Even when he was back in training, he was not allowed to train and have a normal training week, which is that time. And Curtis came back in the team. We were still involved in European football. Means we don't train properly. That makes it really difficult for players who come back to get up to speed. It was really super difficult to organize. But there was a moment when he was allowed to, when he could train again and normal, and it was pretty quickly clear that the sessions he had around our sessions were, obviously from a physical point of view, really good, because he looked ready pretty quick, and now you can see that. And that Curtis, it's always with the boys from the own academy. People fancy big transfers, stuff like this. So it's like if a player, our own academy boy, plays good football, then it's okay. But I would prefer bringing him in. So I'm really happy for Curtis that he could show up now again, and he is was always only in the squad because he has real quality. And now you can see it, obviously, that he is good on the ball, safe on the ball, which is super helpful, and defense extremely good, which is even more important, and because they're all good footballers, and he deserves that spell. Definitely, he really deserves that. He has had a tough time to go through, and it's hard if you don't feel really injured, but everybody tells you are, and you are not allowed to do this and do that and do this and do that. That's really hard, especially for a young man. And he got through this and is now in a good shape. That's it.
Carl?
In a season of ups and downs, how satisfying and reassuring is it, the level of consistency you now seem to be getting?
It's for me too early to speak about consistency. For me, winning 3 games is not consistent. It's good, but it can only be the start of something. And it's about consistency you show in performances, even more than in results. And out for the outside world, it's the result. But for us, obviously, it must be the performance, because that's what we work with. And I'm happy with that in the moment, because in all the games, as different as they were, I saw a lot of things we want to see in the games, and that's then really good. That's really pleasing for the coach inside, that these things are still possible, and that's good. But then the opponent requires different things. What we have to do, we cannot just we want to focus on us, and that's what we do. But we cannot ignore the quality of the opponent, so we have to be ready for that as well. And there's always something to improve, and that's fine. And that's what we try to do as well now. And that's it. I'm absolutely okay with the moment, but it's not that I already trust ourselves that much that I say, that's it now, we are out of the woods, because this season gave us a few lessons I didn't want to learn, but I learned, and so we have to stay super focused, we have to be super aggressive, angry, greedy, whatever, show that the most important prize in football is the 3 points at the weekend or midweek whenever we play, in the next Premier League game, and that's all we have to be focused on. And I hope we can show that Sunday.
Mogen we ook van voor nu wel? No, of course. We come to embargo.